The stars looked different today. Captain Jake Morrison stood at the window of Deep Space Station 7, watching the darkness beyond Earth's solar system. He had been monitoring space for 12 years and nothing ever happened. Ships came and went from Mars, supply runs to the asteroid mines. The usual boring stuff. Then the sensors started screaming. Jake ran to his control panel. The screen showed 12 massive objects moving toward Earth. They were huge. Each one was longer than the biggest city on Earth. Jake's hands shook as he tried to understand what he was seeing. "Computer, run full scan on the approaching objects," he said. The computer's voice was calm. 12 unknown vessels detected. Length, approximately 5 kilometers each. Material composition, unknown. Energy signatures, extremely high. Time. To Earth orbit, 6 hours. Jake's coffee cup fell from his hand and shattered on the floor. 6 hours. These things would reach Earth in 6 hours, and nobody knew what they were. He grabbed his communication device. "This is Deep Space Station 7 calling Earth Control. We have an emergency. 12 unknown ships approaching Earth. Repeat, this is not a drill." On Earth, alarms started ringing in every government building. President Lisa Hayes was in a meeting when her assistant burst through the door. "Madam President, you need to come to the command center right now," the assistant said, breathing hard. Lisa followed him down the hall. The command center was full of people running around, looking scared. General Rick Barnes met her at the door. "We have a problem," he said, "a big problem." The main screen showed the same image Jake was seeing from his station. 12 massive ships moving toward Earth like sharks in dark water. "What are they?" Lisa asked. "We don't know," Rick said. "But they're not human. The technology is way beyond anything we've ever seen." Lisa felt cold. "Are they hostile?" "We're about to find out." The answer came 30 minutes later. Every television, radio, and computer screen on Earth suddenly showed the same image. It was a creature that looked like a giant lizard standing upright. Its scales were dark green and seemed to shine like oil. Its eyes were yellow and cold. When it spoke, its voice was deep and scary. "Primitive mammals of the third planet," the creature said. The words were translated into every language on Earth at the same time. "I am Admiral Kethver of the Zilonian Imperial Fleet. Your world has been chosen to join our empire. You will give us your weapons, your governments, and everything you have. If you fight us, we will kill every single one of you." The creature smiled, showing teeth like knives. "Look at our ships. Look at our power. You cannot win against us. No species has ever defeated the Zilonian Empire. We have conquered 47 worlds. Your little planet will be number 48. The image changed to show the alien ships up close. They were covered in weapons. Huge guns that could destroy entire cities. Energy cannons that glowed with deadly light. The ships looked like they could turn Earth into dust without even trying hard. "You have 72 hours to surrender," Admiral Kethver continued. "Send your leaders to meet us. They will bow before the might of the Zilonian Empire. Any ship that approaches us will be destroyed. Any weapon fired at us will result in the death of 1 million humans. Choose wisely, mammals. This is your only warning." The transmission ended. Earth was silent for a moment. Then the panic started. In the command center, President Hayes looked at her advisors. Everyone was scared. General Barnes pulled up information about Earth's space fleet. "We have 24 patrol ships," he said quietly. "They're fast, but they're not built for war. Against those 12 monsters out there, we might as well throw rocks at them." Dr. Amy Watson, Earth's top expert on alien life, studied the recording of the alien admiral. She had been waiting her whole life for this moment, first contact with another species. She just wished it had gone differently. "They're clearly advanced," she said. "But look at how they talk to us. They think we're animals. They don't see us as equals. That kind of thinking can be dangerous for them, too." "What do you mean?" Lisa asked. "When you think your enemy is weak and stupid, sometimes you don't prepare as well as you should," Amy explained. "They're so sure they can beat us that they might not be ready for surprises." General Barnes shook his head. What surprises? We don't have anything that can hurt ships that big. Amy looked at the president. Are you sure about that? Lisa's face went white. She knew what Amy was talking about. The thing they weren't supposed to talk about. The project that didn't officially exist. Get me Admiral Kate Brown on the secure line, Lisa said quietly. The room fell silent. Everyone knew about the rumors, secret projects, hidden weapons, things the government never admitted existed. But rumors were all they were, right? Lisa picked up the red phone that connected directly to the most secret parts of the military. When someone answered, she said 3 words that made everyone in the room hold their breath. Wake the giant. Far away, in a place that didn't appear on any map, alarms started ringing. People who had been waiting for years suddenly had work to do. In the deepest parts of space, something began to move. Something humanity had built in secret, hoping they would never need to use it. Admiral Kethfer looked at Earth through the window of his flagship. The little blue planet looked so peaceful, so helpless. In 72 hours it would belong to the Zolonian Empire, just like all the others. He had no idea that humans were very good at keeping secrets. And some secrets were deadly. The message traveled through space faster than light itself. It went to a place that existed on no public maps, hidden beyond Neptune in the cold darkness where no one looked. The facility was built inside a huge asteroid, carved out and shaped into humanity's greatest secret. Captain Sam Brooks was sleeping when the alarm woke him up. He had been sleeping for 6 months, waiting for a call that might never come. Now the red lights were flashing, and the voice over the speaker was saying the words he had hoped never to hear. All crew to battle stations. Project Sleeping Giant is now active. This is not a drill. Sam rolled out of his bed and put on his uniform. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. After 50 years of preparation, it was finally time. He walked down the metal hallways of the secret base, past rooms full of equipment that most humans didn't know existed. The command center was full of people, rushing around. Admiral Kate Brown was waiting for him with a folder marked with the highest security level. Sam, you know why you're here, she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed how serious this was. Earth has been threatened by an alien empire. They have 12 warships, and they want us to surrender. The president has authorized the use of the retribution. Sam took the folder. Inside were orders that made his stomach feel cold. He was to take command of humanity's most dangerous creation and use it to defend Earth, no matter what the cost. How long do we have? He asked. 60 hours before their deadline. The ship is ready. Your crew is waiting. Sam walked through the base too. The main hangar. What he saw there took his breath away, even though he had seen it many times before. The UES Retribution sat in the middle of the huge space like a sleeping monster. It was dark as night, its hull made of materials that seemed to eat light itself. The ship was a kilometer long, but it looked much bigger because of its strange shape. This was not like other human ships. Other ships were built to explore or carry cargo or patrol space. The Retribution was built for only one purpose: to destroy anything that threatened humanity. It was the result of 50 years of secret research, using science that pushed the limits of what was possible. Chief Engineer Kate Sullivan met him at the ship's entrance. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes were sharp and intelligent. She had helped design every part of the Retribution. She's ready, Captain, Kate said. All systems are working perfectly. The crew is already on board. Sam walked through the ship's corridors. Everything was different from normal spacecraft. The walls seemed to glow with a soft light. The air felt strange, like it was charged with electricity. This ship used technology that was almost like magic. He reached the bridge and saw his crew. These were not ordinary sailors. Each person had been chosen from the best of the best. They had trained for years for this moment, knowing they might be humanity's last hope. Navigation Officer Tony Garcia looked up from his station. Captain, all departments report ready. We can launch whenever you give the order. Medical Officer Helen Moore was checking her equipment. She knew that if they had to use the ship's weapons, people would get hurt. Maybe a lot of people. Her job was to save whoever she could. Sam sat in the captain's chair and looked at the main screen. It showed the alien ships moving toward Earth like a pack of wolves. In a few hours, they would arrive and start making demands. They thought humans were weak and helpless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Kate, tell me about our weapons," Sam said. The engineer smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "We have 3 main systems, Captain. The primary weapons use controlled antimatter reactions. They can tear apart the bonds that hold atoms together. The secondary system manipulates gravity itself, creating crushing forces that can flatten anything. And then there's the special package." Sam knew what she meant by the special package. The weapons that the crew simply called planet crackers. Devices that could break apart entire worlds if needed. He hoped they would never have to use those. "And our defenses?" he asked. "The hull is made of metamaterials that can absorb almost any kind of energy and turn it into power for our systems. We also have the displacement drive." The displacement drive was the ship's greatest secret. It didn't just move the ship through space. It briefly shifted the ship into other dimensions where the laws of physics work differently. This made the ship almost impossible to hit and allowed it to appear in multiple places at once, Tony Garcia reported from his station. "Captain, I'm getting signals from Earth. The aliens are starting to show their power. They just destroyed 3 of Jupiter's moons to prove they can do it." On the main screen, they watched as the alien ships fired their weapons at the small moons orbiting Jupiter. The moons simply vanished, turned into clouds of dust and gas. It was a clear message to Earth. "Surrender or this will happen to your cities." Sam felt anger growing in his chest. These aliens thought they could threaten his home and his people. They thought humans were just animals that could be scared into giving up. "All hands, this is the captain," he said over the ship's communication system. "We are about to show these aliens what happens when you threaten humanity. We didn't ask for this fight, but we're going to finish it. Prepare for launch." The Retribution began to move. The massive hangar doors opened, showing the stars beyond. The ship slipped out of its hiding place like a shadow, invisible to most sensors. As they moved toward the inner solar system, Sam opened a channel to Earth. President Hayes appeared on the screen, looking tired and worried. "Captain Brooks, are you ready?" she asked. "Yes, Madam President. The Retribution is operational and moving to intercept. We'll show them that humanity is not as helpless as they think." "Good luck, Sam. The whole world is counting on you." The channel closed. Sam looked at his crew. They were scared, but they were ready. They knew what they had to do. Tony set course for the alien fleet. "Kate, bring all weapons to full power. Helen, prepare for casualties." The Retribution moved through space toward the alien ships. Its dark hull made it almost invisible against the stars. Soon, the aliens would see what happened when they threatened the wrong species. Humanity had been preparing for this day for 50 years. Now it was time to show the galaxy what they had built. In the darkness, Admiral Kethver stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small blue planet grow larger on his screen. Earth looked so peaceful, so helpless, just like all the other worlds he had conquered. In a few more hours this would be over and the humans would be begging for mercy. "Admiral," his tactical officer Commander Thextra called out. "We're receiving a transmission from the human government." Kethver smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Already? I thought they would wait until the last moment." "Put it on the main screen." The image showed an older human female sitting behind a desk. She looked scared, which pleased Kethver greatly. "I am President Lisa Hayes of Earth," the woman said. "We have received your demands. We need more time to consider your terms." Kethver laughed. The sound echoed through the bridge like the growl of a predator. "More time? You humans are even weaker than I thought." "Very well, you have 24 hours instead of 72. After that, we will begin destroying your cities one by one until you surrender." He cut the transmission and turned to his bridge. "Crew, prepare a demonstration. Destroy one of their space stations. Show them what happens to those who keep us waiting." But before his weapons officer could carry out the order, another voice came through the ship's communication system. This voice was different. It was calm and strong, without any fear. Admiral Kethver, this is Captain Sam Brooks of the United Earth Ship Retribution. You wanted to see what humanity is capable of. You're about to find out. Kethver looked around his bridge in confusion. Where is that transmission coming from? I don't see any human ships on our sensors. Commander Thexra worked quickly at his station, running scan after scan. Admiral, I'm picking up something strange. There's a ship approaching our position, but it's hard to detect. Our sensors keep losing it? Show me, Kethver ordered. The main screen changed to show space around their fleet. At first, there was nothing but stars and darkness. Then, like a ghost becoming solid, a ship appeared. It was much smaller than the Zolonian vessels, but something about it made Kethver feel uncomfortable. The human ship was black as space itself. Its hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange energy patterns flickered along its surface like lightning trapped in metal. It moved in ways that didn't make sense, sometimes seeming to be in two places at once. One ship? Kethver said, but his voice didn't sound as confident as before. These mammals send one ship against our entire fleet? Commander Thexra ran. More scans on the approaching vessel. The readings made no sense. Energy signatures that shouldn't be possible. Hull materials that seemed to bend space around them. Weapon systems that his computer couldn't identify. Admiral, Thexra said, his voice shaking slightly, our sensors are getting impossible readings from that ship. The energy output is enormous. The hull composition is unlike anything in our databases. And the weapon signatures ... What about the weapons? Kethva demanded. I don't know what they are, but they're powerful. Very powerful. The human captain's voice came through their communication system again. Admiral Kethver, this is your final warning. Leave the system immediately. You have 1 minute to begin. Moving your ships away from Earth, or we will consider you hostile. The audacity of the demand sent Kethver into a rage. How dare these primitive creatures threaten the mighty Zolonian Empire? He had conquered dozens of worlds. His fleet had destroyed entire civilizations. No one gave ultimatums to Admiral Kethver. You insignificant mammal, he roared into the communication channel. Do you see my fleet? 12 dreadnoughts, each one capable of destroying your pathetic little world. You have one tiny ship against our entire armada. Surrender now, or I will turn your planet into burning ash. Captain Brooks's response was calm and cold. Admiral, you made a mistake when you came to our system threatening our people. You made a bigger mistake when you assumed we were helpless. But your biggest mistake was not leaving when I asked you nicely. Kethver had heard enough. He turned to his weapons officer. All ships target that human vessel. Fire everything. I want nothing left of it but atoms. The order went out to all 12 Zolonian dreadnoughts. This was firepower that could destroy small planets. Plasma cannons that burned hotter than stars. Gravity bombs that could crush matter into nothing. Particle beams that tore apart everything they touched. The space around the human ship lit up like a new sun as 12 massive warships fired at once. The combined attack would have turned any normal vessel into dust. The energy release was so huge that it could be seen from Earth with the naked eye, but when the light faded, the human ship was still there. It hung in space like nothing had happened. Its dark hull seemed to have absorbed all that devastating firepower and made it disappear. Impossible, Vexra whispered. Nothing could survive that much firepower. Captain Brooks's voice came through. Their speakers again, still completely calm. That was a mistake, Admiral. The human ship began to change. Parts of its hull moved and shifted, revealing weapon systems that made the Zolonian arsenal look like toys. Strange energies danced along its surface. Space itself seemed to bend around the vessel. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Kethver shouted. But he knew it was too late. The human ship fired once. The beam that came from the retribution was unlike anything the Zolonians had ever seen. It wasn't just energy or matter, it was something that ate reality itself. The beam struck the first Zelonian dreadnought, and the massive ship simply stopped existing. Not destroyed, not exploded, just gone. Then the beam continued through two more ships, erasing them from existence as well. In less than 3 seconds, half of Kethver's mighty fleet had vanished. What is that thing? Dextra screamed, staring at his instruments in horror, but Kethver couldn't answer. He was staring at the human ship, which was now moving between his remaining vessels like a dancing shadow. Every time it fired, another Zelonian dreadnought disappeared. This wasn't a battle. This was an execution. The human captain spoke one more time. Admiral, you came to our world speaking boldly about conquest and death. You assumed we were weak because we didn't go looking for wars. You thought our kindness was weakness. Now, you know the truth. We don't start fights, but we always finish them. Kethver watched his fleet die and realized he had made the greatest mistake of his long military career. He had awakened something that should have been left sleeping. The bridge of Admiral Kethver's flagship was filled with the sounds of panic. Alarms screamed. Officers shouted orders that made no sense. Half of the mighty Zelonian fleet was gone, turned into nothing by a single shot from the human ship. Damage! Report! Kethver shouted, trying to keep control of his remaining ships. Commander Kethver's hands shook as he worked at his station. Admiral, we've lost 6 dreadnoughts. The humans destroyed them completely. No wreckage, no debris, nothing. It's like they never existed. Kethver stared at the tactical display. Where moments before he had 12 powerful warships, now only 6 remained. The human ship moved between them like a ghost, appearing and disappearing in ways that broke every law of physics he knew. How is it moving like that? He demanded. I don't know, Dextra replied. Our sensors show it in multiple locations at the same time. Sometimes it seems to phase in and out of normal space. Admiral, I don't think this is just advanced technology. This is something beyond our understanding. On Earth, people watched the battle through telescopes and satellites. What they saw didn't seem real. The massive alien ships that had seemed so threatening were being torn apart by their own secret weapon. Dr. Amy Watson watched from the command center, taking notes on what she was witnessing. The Retribution isn't just fighting them, she said quietly. It's teaching them a lesson about what happens when you threaten humanity. President Hayes stood beside her, watching the destruction of the alien fleet. Part of her felt sorry for her. The aliens, but then she remembered their arrogant demands and threats. They had come to Earth expecting an easy victory. Instead, they found out that humans were far more dangerous than they appeared. Back in space, Captain Sam Brooks sat calmly in his command chair. Around him, his crew worked with deadly efficiency. Chief Engineer Kate Sullivan monitored the ship's systems, making sure the advanced weapons stayed at full power. Kate, how are our systems holding up? Sam asked. Perfect, Captain, she replied. The metamaterial hull is converting their weapon fire into energy for our own systems. Every time they shoot at us, we get stronger. Navigation Officer Tony Garcia reported from his station. Captain, 3 of the remaining alien ships are trying to run away. They're moving toward the edge of the solar system. Sam's expression didn't change. Show them that running won't save them. The Retribution suddenly appeared next to the fleeing ships, having somehow crossed the vast distance in seconds. The aliens had no time to react before the human weapon fired again. This time, it was a different kind of beam. Instead of making the ships disappear, it wrapped around them like invisible chains and crushed them into balls of twisted metal. Medical Officer Helen Moore watched the destruction from her station. She had prepared for human casualties, but the battle was so one-sided that her skills weren't needed. The aliens couldn't even damage their ship. Captain, she said quietly, they're not even putting up a real fight. This isn't a battle anymore, Sam nodded. They came here expecting to fight primitives with simple weapons. They thought we would be scared and helpless. They didn't prepare for a real war. Only 3 Zelonian ships remain now, clustered together in a desperate defensive formation. Admiral Kethver tried to contact his home world, but the human ship blocked all his communications. Captain Brooks opened a channel to the alien flagship. Admiral, I told you that you made a mistake. Now, let me explain exactly what kind of mistake. It was... The retribution began to change again. Its hull shifted and moved, revealing more weapon systems. These were different from the ones they had already seen. They glowed with colors that shouldn't exist and made space itself seem to bend around them. You came to our system thinking we were weak because we stayed in our own space, Sam continued. You thought we were primitive because we didn't conquer. Other worlds, you were wrong about both things. One of the new weapons fired, creating a sphere of twisted energy around the remaining alien ships. The sphere trapped them completely. They couldn't move, couldn't fight, couldn't even send messages beyond the barrier. We don't conquer other worlds because we don't need to, Sam explained. We have everything we want right here. But that doesn't mean we can't fight when we have to. For 50 years, we've been preparing for the day when something like you would show up. Inside the energy sphere, Kethver realized the full horror of his situation. His empire had ruled the galaxy for centuries. They had defeated every enemy they faced. But they had never encountered anything like this human ship. The ship you're facing, Sam continued, represents everything terrifying about human nature. We can be kind and peaceful. We can create beautiful art and music, we can love and care for each other. But when something threatens what we love, we become something else entirely. The retribution demonstrated another capability. It began to change shape, becoming larger and more threatening. Weapons appeared that looked like they could tear planets apart. The ship now looked less like a vessel and more like a machine built for ending worlds. We spent 50 years building this ship, Sam said. We designed it using science that pushed the limits of what's possible. We made weapons that can unmake reality itself. We did all of this just in case we ever needed to defend ourselves against something like your empire. Kate Sullivan watched her instruments as the ship's systems reached full power. Captain, all weapon systems are online. We're ready to demonstrate the special package if needed. Sam hoped it wouldn't come to that. The special package contained weapons that could crack planets open like eggs. But if these aliens had friends coming, he wanted them to understand what they would face. Admiral Kethver, Sam said, your empire made one final mistake. You assume that because we don't look for fights, we don't know how to fight. The truth is, we're very good at fighting. We're so good at it that we scare ourselves sometimes. The remaining alien ships sat trapped in their energy prison, unable to move or fight back. Their crews stared at the human vessel that had destroyed their mighty fleet in minutes. Now, Sam said, we're going to have a conversation about what happens next. And Admiral, I suggest you listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you. The energy sphere around the 3 remaining Zelonian ships began to shrink. Admiral Kethver watched in terror as the walls of twisted space moved closer to his flagship. He understood now that the humans could crush his ships like tin cans, whenever they wanted. Please, he said into his communication device, his proud voice now broken and desperate. We surrender, don't destroy us. Captain Sam Brooks appeared on the alien ship's main screen. He looked like an ordinary human, nothing special about him. But his eyes held depths that spoke of a species that had learned to be dangerous when necessary. Admiral, Sam said calmly, surrender is a good start, but it's not enough. We need to have a serious talk about what happens next. The energy sphere stopped shrinking just meters away from the alien ships. Close enough to remind Kethver that his life was in human hands, but far enough to let him know they could still talk. Sam's voice continued, still calm but with an edge. That made the alien admiral shiver. I'm going to come aboard your ship, Admiral. We're going to have a face-to-face conversation about your empire and what it needs to understand about Earth. Kethver felt his scales turn cold. You're coming here? But how will you? His question was answered when a small human craft appeared next to his flagship. It had somehow passed through the energy barrier as if it wasn't there. The craft docked with his ship, and moments later, the airlock opened. Captain Brooks walked onto the Zelonian bridge, followed by 4 human soldiers. The soldiers wore armor that made them look like walking nightmares, but it was the captain himself who frightened Kethver the most. This ordinary-looking human had just destroyed most of his fleet with ease. "Admiral Kethver," Sam said, looking around the bridge. "Your ship is impressive. Your technology is advanced. Your empire must be very proud of what you've built." Kethver didn't know how to respond. Was the human mocking him? "But you made a mistake," Sam continued. "You assume that because we don't build empires like yours, we can't defend ourselves. You thought strength meant conquering others. You were wrong." Sam walked to the main view screen, which showed the debris field where 9 Zalonian dreadnoughts used to exist. "Your empire has a choice now, Admiral. You can go home and tell them what you learned here today, or—" He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. "What do you want from us?" Kethver asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Simple," Sam replied. "Your empire will never again approach human space with hostile intent. You will not threaten Earth or any human colonies. You will not attack human ships or citizens. And you will spread the word to every other species in the galaxy that humans are not to be disturbed." Kethver nodded quickly. Yes, of course. We will leave your space immediately and never return." "Not quite," Sam said. "First, you're going to give us complete information about your empire. Your technology, your military strength, your territories, everything. We need to understand exactly what we're dealing with." One of the human soldiers connected a device to the ship's computer system. Within minutes, they had downloaded everything: star charts, weapon specifications, fleet positions, even the location of the Zalonian homeworld. "Why do you need all this?" Kethver asked. Sam looked at him with those deep, dangerous eyes. "Because we need to know how big a threat your empire really is. If we find out you're planning revenge, or if you decide to ignore our warning, we'll come visiting your worlds. And Admiral, you've seen what one of our ships can do." The alien commander felt his knees go weak. The thought of this human vessel appearing in Zalonian space, destroying their fleets, and threatening their planets was too horrible to imagine. "We won't cause any trouble," he promised. "The Zalonian Empire will avoid human space completely." "Good," Sam said. "But just to make sure you understand how serious we are, He made a gesture to one of his soldiers. The soldier activated a device that projected a holographic image into the air. It showed the Retribution, but this time all of its weapons were visible. The ship had transformed into something that looked like it could tear apart entire star systems. "This is just one ship, Admiral. We have others. Some of them are even more dangerous than this one. We built them all for one purpose: to make sure that what happened to your fleet today never has to happen again." Kethver stared at the projection, his mind trying to understand what he was seeing: weapons that could crack planets, energy systems that bent the laws of physics. This wasn't just advanced technology. This was power beyond imagination. "How many ships like this do you have?" he whispered. Sam smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "That's classified, Admiral." "But I will tell you this: we've been preparing for threats like your empire for 50 years. We take the safety of our people very seriously." The captain walked back to the alien commander and looked him directly in the eyes. "Admiral, when you return to your empire, you're going to tell them exactly what happened here. You're going to explain that humans are not primitive mammals who can be scared into surrendering. You're going to make them understand that we are something much more dangerous." "What are you?" Kethver asked. "We're the species that turned the art of war into a science," Sam replied. "We're the people who spent decades building weapons we hope never to use. We're the civilization that can be kind and peaceful until someone threatens our children. Then we become your worst nightmare." Sam turned to leave, then stopped and looked back. "Oh, and Admiral, if any other species asks about what happened, here, tell them the truth. Tell them that humanity has claimed its place in the galaxy, and that place is wherever we choose to be." The humans left the ship as quickly as they had arrived. The energy sphere around the Zalonian vessels disappeared, freeing them to move again. All ships, Kethver said quietly into his communication system. Set course for home, maximum speed. As the three surviving Zelonian ships limped away from Earth's solar system, Captain Brooks returned to the Retribution. His crew watched the aliens retreat, knowing they had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Mission accomplished, Captain, Tony Garcia reported. The alien ships are leaving our space. Sam nodded and sat in his command chair. Send a message to Earth. Tell them the threat has ended and Earth is secure. Dr. Amy Watson received the message at Earth's command center. She looked at President Hayes and smiled. It's over. They're gone. President Hayes felt a weight lift from her shoulders. And they won't be back? No, Amy said, looking at the data from the battle. They definitely won't be back. In fact, I don't think anyone will be threatening Earth for a very long time. She was right. News of what happened to the Zelonian fleet spread through the galaxy faster than light itself. Earth became known not as a primitive world, but as the home of the species that had redefined what it meant to be dangerous. Humanity had spoken softly and carried the biggest stick the galaxy had ever seen. And now everyone knew it.